Morning. Good morning, Rena. Morning, Roxanne. Thank you for my brooms as usual. Roxanne, Teresa, Francis, good morning. Rukman Gangadine, morning, Rukman. Arlene Lewis, morning to you. Chep, is it Cheppy, 65? Morning to you. J Dimple, 66. Good morning. Morning, Deborah. Laverne, morning to you. Morning to all of you guys on Facebook, on YouTube. Jennifer Nathan, morning. John Edwards, morning to you as well. Minad Lazari, morning. Katyan Best, good morning. Morning, Donna. Morning to His Excellency, President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor. At first, they did for the CIK, God. Nigel, that's 7 days very long pants by. We need to touch on that too. Angela Kati, morning to you. Marlene Wilson, McNeil, morning. Gail Jack, good morning to you. Morning, Alison. What we have on Facebook? Denise Coggins, morning to you. Clay Irish, morning. Jennifer Dorset, morning. Let's say good morning to Carol Myers as well. To Mother Tunapuna, good morning. I haven't seen Mother pop up, but morning, Mother. Okay, Irish, Annette Beard, Chris Craigwell, morning. Pamela O'Connor, morning to all of you guys. Lynette Harris, morning. Morning, Diane, Muhammad, Adriana, Alexis, morning. Christopher Surratt, morning. Thank you, sir. It's good to be back. I don't think I'll jump out again for this year. Probably be early next year. We will do that. Morning, Jeremy Lewis. Good morning to you. Then again, you never know. Sometimes, yeah. But I don't think I'm going anywhere for the rest of the year. I'm gonna keep my tail home. Right. Claudette Jeffrey, morning, Claudette. Ruth Fronten, Kurt Douglas, morning to both of you guys. Right, 6:36, time flies. On this day, 5th day of December, the 5th day of December already. Yeah, 2023. You need to slow down a little bit. I know we're on the tail end, almost to the end, but ease us up now. Slow down a little bit, just a little bit. Udani Bruce, good morning. Jacqueline Sebro, Ruth Fontaine, morning. Right, so let me get in there. So many things happening. Lisa Atwater, good morning to you. So many things happening. Can't talk about all these things at once. Yeah. For those of us who may have listened to if you had an opportunity to listen to the Monday night forum last night, it was really, really that. Diego Wire, morning to you. Gemma Alexander, morning. Henry Amsterdam, morning. What to start with? What to start with? All right, let me just touch on a couple of things that I saw in Sunday's Express. Morning, Eden. I have no idea. Well, okay, I know. If you look at the quality of the content coming out of that radio station now, especially between 4 to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday, and then on a Saturday around lunchtime. Yeah, I don't know that I could have saddled with that. And I see now there's a tit for tat between those folks and Juju. So it's like a call and response thing taking place. I see they start off their show every day now with this song. I think it's Penguin, I think, sang that song, Doggy Doggy Look a Bone. So, we know what I mean by that, but that's just about as much as I would listen to. If I'm listening to Juliet, and then when Juliet is finished, and then I would hear that little piece of that song, and that's it. I done a radio switch. I mean, I don't have the patience, I don't have the tolerance level to take in the level of stupidity, ignorance, hogwash, dotishness that passes for what you could call that, between 4 to 7 on that radio station. And the fact that management continues to support that kind of thing, what they hope to get out of it, I really don't know. Because these guys, after what been there a couple of months now, continue to struggle to hold even 100 persons on the live, on whether it's Facebook or YouTube, as the case may be. You can't, because they're talking garbage, they're talking rubbish, and the sensible people have turned away from that. And if management don't see that, well, yeah, I don't know. But talking about shady life. Charles Jack, morning. Annette Baird, morning to you. D. Chris Allen, Marva James, morning to all of you guys. Yes, misinformation, that's what it is. But they come in every day. We are here to educate and inform. And as I always tell them, educate and inform yourself first now. That clearly you're lacking both. Uneducated and uninformed. Heard one yesterday talking about for the last 3 elections, he voted for the PNM and stuff, so no, don't come at it. Anyway, enough of that. So, and there were a couple of stories on Sunday that really have not gotten, well, I saw the leader of the opposition spoke to one of those issues last night on their Monday night forum. When I remembered they had Monday night forum, because remember, for a period of time after the local election and up until maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was no Monday night forum. So I tend to forget that even exists, right? But it did cross my mind, and I tuned in just in time to hear about half of Kamala's presentation, as difficult as it was, as stomach churning as it was. But the same old normal rhetoric, nothing new, nothing of substance. But as I told you all on Sunday, if the not the People's Partnership, if the UNC were to get back into office in 2025, the Dragon deal, if not in place by then, and by it being in place, I mean all I's dotted, all T's crossed, and even then, as I said, I can't even say if the project has started that that guarantees is going to continue, because if the smelter plant is anything to go by, we see that a project that is in train, contract signed and everything, financing organized and all of that, and construction has begun, even that would not prevent the United National Congress, the official, I wouldn't even call them the opposition, right? They are the obstruction, the official obstruction of Trinidad and Tobago. Even that would not prevent them from putting a spoke in the wheel of such a project at great cost to Trinidad and Tobago. And I listened to the leader of the opposition last night, and as I told you, the UNC's relationship with the Nicolas Maduro administration is fractured. I think to the point of there's no return. And if you had any doubts about that, you only needed to listen to Mrs. Prasad Bisasa last night, as she doubled down on antagonism of Nicolas Maduro. In fact, sending out a warning to him to let him know that she is speaking on behalf of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, and that the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, we are standing our ground with Guyana, and she wants to let him know, if you touch one, you touch all. And if you touch Guyana, you touch Trinidad and Tobago. You're here going to talk, shooting from the hip. Yes, that was Mrs. Prasad Bisesa last night, right? So she's saying that, yes, the drug and gas deal is good, and she's not saying that she doesn't want it to go through, but that any funds, the government of Trinidad and Tobago must ensure that any monies that are paid to Nicolas Maduro from the drug and gas deal is not used to purchase any weapons to attack Guyana. Yeah, so, but anyway, we'll come to her just now. On page 11 of Sunday's Business Express, or Sunday's Express, I saw an article entitled, Hawaii Suggests Tax to Discourage Luxury Imports. Former Finance Minister Larry Hawaii has called for the implementation of an appropriate tax regime as a means of discouraging luxury imports and balancing this country's foreign exchange demand with supply. Hawaii made the statement that as he spoke on Friday at the University of the West Indies virtual national conversation on the topic, as an assessment of economic and financial sustainability, forex flows and woes. He says no country has ever devalued its way to prosperity. Depreciation can lead to a cycle of impoverishment, but bolstered with carefully crafted, constructed fiscal and monetary policy within the context of a clear industrial strategy and a framework of economic development and diversification, it can act as a lubricant for achievement of overall macroeconomic objectives. That's what I call fluff, when you invite a man to talk. And they say if you can't wow them with brilliance, dazzle them with BS. Yeah. He reminds me a little bit of his predecessor, Winston Dukaran. I am not casting aspersions on Mr. Dukaran's, what's the word I'm looking for? His academic background, but it's always difficult to listen to Mr. Dukaran. No disrespect, but Dukaran has used all kind of words, me talking on it, and like how that fits in stuff. What you just said it? Most of the time, this time I used to be, what you just said it? It just didn't make sense. There's some hodgepodge of words that really, mismatch. He says we continue to have local rates so significantly low below US rates because what it does is add pressure for individuals to move funds into US dollars. And this intensifies the drive to get US dollars investment in overseas money and capital markets. Low interest rates also drive imported consumption, Hawaii said. He said if we start the regeneration of foreign exchange, then the banks have a role to play here, and they are responsible enough to work proactively with monetary authority to find ways in which funds can be put into investment and away from consumption. Luxury imports need to be discouraged by an appropriate tax regime until such time as we get to the point where our demand is more in equilibrium with supply. These, I know, are not going to be popular measures, but they are needed until the effects of our economic diversification drive begin to show results, and the diversification thrust has to include the local private sector, international private sector, and the government. I want to applaud him to an extent, because he's basically saying something I've been saying for the longest while, that the whole diversification conversation is not just about government and government and government. You listen to the UNC, that's all you think. The government and the government alone is responsible for that, but as he mentioned here, the local private sector, international private sector, as well as the government. Three-legged stool. But the UNC, as far as they're concerned, that stool, diversification stool, is only one leg. Government, and that's it. And of course, the supporters buy into that. But I thought I would mention that because of the fact that he suggests a tax. Tax, right? The government of which he was a part, the party of which that paid him millions of dollars to leave his work in FCB to become the Minister of Finance, right? They telling you, put us in office, no new tax. This government, this PNM only wanted tax, and there are other ways to fix problems and generate revenue other than tax. But the $11 million Minister of Finance is telling you Man, that the People's Partnership that Kamala had so much faith in is telling you, you want to fix the Forex problem, you need to impose a tax regime on luxury items. Same man, right? So if it is they come back into office, I wonder, would they be willing to put this man? This is the same man who told us in 2014 that they intended to bring back the property tax. After they say, no tax, axe the tax. Same man, yeah, that they had confidence in. They couldn't find nobody else who was willing to become the Minister of Finance for free. They had to go and find a man who they had to pay $11 million to leave the work and become Minister of Finance. And he is telling you today, you want to fix the Forex problem, we need to impose a tax. I wonder what the supporters have to say. This is all your Minister of Finance. All your Minister of Finance. Yeah? Talking about tax. Why don't you go on social media and cuss Larry Hawaii and tell him where he mother make him? Why don't you do that? All your UNC, you all paid him millions of dollars. Kid Rowley didn't have to pay Coleman with no millions to become Minister of Finance. Right? All your $1 million Minister of Finance saying impose tax. But always talking tax. And put us in power, we wouldn't impose any new taxes. Right. That's what they're saying. But I go on, there was something else, right? Management issue. Chairman of the Confederation of Regional Business Chambers, Vivek Charan, who was also part of the panel conversation, said the Forex crisis in Trinidad and Tobago is a management issue. There is a Forex issue that has occurred at the level of management that is beyond the majority of us to have it fixed. When it started in 2012, at the possibility of an impending crisis, I've heard people say that SMEs and people in retail or importers and resellers are inefficient, as if to say that this is where the problem really started, or that's going to exacerbate the problem. And I really don't believe that that is necessarily where it would be at. You hear when he said it started? When it started in 2012, not 2015, not 2016, 17, 18, 19, and 20. When it started in 2012, 2 years into the People's Partnership government. He said 2012, he didn't say 2009, 2008 under Patrick Manning and the PNM. Wasn't 2005 under Patrick, 2012 under the People's Partnership. Vivek Charan saying that. Yeah? But the supporters, Damian Lyda all over the place, the Forex problem in this country, and the PNM mash up. And the reason why we having the Forex problem is because they shut down Petrochin and they mash up the energy sector, and that is why we have this chronic Forex shortage. But Vivek Charan is telling you, this started in 2012. He's a businessman. So he know since when he and his colleagues, his business colleagues, were experiencing the shortage 2012. Who was the Prime Minister in 2012? Keith Rowley? Patrick Manning? Who was the central bank governor in 2012? Alvin Hilaire? All right. Yeah, 2012 is when it started. It didn't fix in 2013. He didn't say it fixed in 2014 or 2015. Because if it had fixed then he would say, well, when it started after that. So it's 2012 it started. Remember who was the central bank governor who decided to tinker with the distribution methodology for foreign exchange? When he decided that we don't have enough players getting foreign exchange from the central bank, so we need to give out licenses to Tom, Dick, Harry, Jenny, and Jane, and the dog. Yeah? So more people now could come to the central bank and demand foreign exchange from where? The country's foreign reserves. Yeah, because that's where the central bank gets foreign exchange from. The man who was at the helm, he do that. So say it's not enough for the banks and certain other limited number of persons entities that could get foreign exchange, so we could manage it a little better. He said, give everybody. Give this one, that one, friend, family, financiers, all here. All you want to open a bureau d'echange and you want to be able to distribute foreign exchange, look, come. So when central bank makes a release, you could get a portion too. But we have no idea who you're giving it to. So if it is you have a license to give out to sell foreign exchange, you're getting from the central bank and you're only giving it to one person. Well, what we gonna tell you? We don't know that. We don't know who you're giving it to. We don't pick up the phone every day and call and say, how much foreign exchange you give out, how much USA sell today, and who you sell it to. Not that they cared, because this was another strategy on their part to be able to give out foreign exchange to their people, hoard it, and then make an excuse so as to make an excuse for them to say, well, there's an acute shortage. We need to depreciate the TT dollar. Never, and don't forget, it is in their manifesto. I believe it's page 46 of their manifesto. The same manifesto that they're bringing back in 2025, the National Economic Transformation Plan, speaks specifically to that what they are against what the current government is doing in order to prop up the exchange. The exchange rate that we have enjoyed has been about 6.99 last 6 or 7 years. They are saying, you see what Rowley and Ibu doing, taking the country's foreign reserves and providing supply to the commercial banking system so that they could maintain that exchange rate. Put us back in office, we're not going to do that. We will say, you know what, we want to build back up, because when we left office, the foreign reserves was $11 billion. It was around 10 or 11 months of import cover, and that is thing to boast about. So put us back into office in 2025, and we will build back the country's foreign reserves to 11 and 12 and 13 and 14 billion plus, so that we could boast every time. Look at where our country's foreign reserves is. We have the highest in the world. We have 24 months of import cover, and we're going for a record 36 months of import cover, and you have all that US sit down in central bank, and the businessmen need it, the citizens need it, and you're saying, nah, that is not for you. Fight up, fight up in the bank, go and line up, put your name in a queue, and wait 2-3 months when you need to pay your child's school fees, because your child going to school in the US, yeah, or you want to run away for a vacation and you can't get US and you're complaining. Our solution to that, fight like cat and dog in the bank to see what you could get. And then when it is that we starve the bank for foreign exchange, because we want to stockpile US and the central bank to beat our chest and say, look how we restored the country's foreign reserves. What will not happen? The exchange rate, the TT dollar will depreciate. So it becomes more expensive now to buy US dollars. That's what they say in black and white, in print, in their manifesto. And I want to repeat that for the benefit of the supporters who are always talking about the PNM and the PNM. PNM manifesto ain't had that. That is in the manifesto of your party. The manifesto that they're bringing back in 2025 to tell you and to tell me vote for them, because that is good economic policy. Yeah? And half all you from that party who supporting that nonsense, they even know that's in the manifesto. But all you will still support it anyway. Why? Because all you don't like the bald head man. Like he. So we're willing to take the jamming of a depreciated TT dollar, paying more for US, even though the same bald man that all you don't like, right? His administration has taken a decision to sustain the exchange rate where it is, so that you all wouldn't have to pay more for imports, the very imports that you love. So that the cost of living wouldn't have to go up, because the businessmen who importing stuff had to pay 8, 9, and 10 and 12 TT for 1 US. Is because of Kidrowley and Colme, but they doing the square peg in the wrong hole, that you all paying $6.79 today and not $10 as Kamala and they want to do when they come, if they come back in office. But you see, all you want to talk stupidness and or crime and all kind of, and listen to the nonsense from the dog liar Enel Roberts about red couch and who had to lie down for Dr. Rowley on couch and all kind of that's the talk all you like. But wouldn't go and read the very manifesto for your own party to see how they plan to mash up when they're talking about they will tell the central bank to increase interest rates on deposits, right? And they go fool all over that. Yeah, well, when Kamala come back, you see, we will get interest on with money in the bank. And how the bank paying that interest? How the bank paying that interest? The bank generates interest, income, through loans primarily. So if you're going to do, increase the loan rates on your mortgage. So you with your variable interest rate mortgage, when it is just yours paying X amount every month, and all of a sudden the bank send you a letter to tell you how to pay $500 and $600 and $700 more because the interest rate change. Because your government, your prime minister, tell them increase the interest rates on deposits. Right? Yeah. Come and complain. No, don't complain. One, go in front of the Pink Palace and lie down so she could walk on all your back. Because that's what all you like. Stupid. Yeah, but how I said it, Then we have Professor Roger Hossain, economist Professor Roger Hossain said it makes sense to sell more non-tradable goods and go after remittances. The appropriate thing to do is to see what is going on in terms of transforming your economy's productive capability. The policies we are using are keeping us in a state of comparative advantage. Policymakers would have to look carefully at our policy-making interventions because some of the resources we are getting are not of the best, right? So, and then you have economist Ronald Ramkissoon, former chief economist at Republic Bank, well, at least he was when I was there, said whether the exchange rate regime is fixed or flexible, it will not solve all the other challenges that the country faces. He says, when I consider the inability of policymakers to adequately appreciate the workers of a mineral-based economy and the associated Dutch disease complications which arise, right? There's something he said at that, right? He says there is difficulty in conveying hard choices for a population that becomes wedded to subsidies and to cheap imports, etc. Subsidies cannot continue forever. Yes, economist Ronald Ramkissoon is saying subsidies cannot continue forever. Politicians make promises which, if they don't make them, one can expect that the opposition politicians will make them, and they are trying to appease the population. That will apply to the PNM. The PNM's position is good economics equates to bad politics. In other words, doing the hard things to improve the economy could very well cost you at the polls. And the PNM is saying we are in free election. If doing the right thing means that the population don't understand and they vote us out of office, so be it. But we will put the policies in place to fix the problem because we're not just thinking now, we're thinking long term. And if we continue the subsidy bad habit, there will be repercussions down the road. When we always talking about the children and the grandchildren. He goes on to say we have had these increases in outlays related to the pool of funds that we have not looked at. How are we going to fund these expenditures that we are promising? Politicians find it difficult to reduce expenditure and to reduce subsidies, etc., but it is rather easy to increase them, and that is a major bad habit. I'm not sure how we are dealing with it, but it is a real issue, and we see what is happening with electricity and water. That is economist Ronald Ramkissoon, right? Telling you that all these subsidies and things that the UNC promising, put us back in office and you won't get baby grant, 500 a month to make child. Put us back in office and we will give you land for the landless. 500, put us back in office in 2025 and we will reduce the cost of fuel. All of these things. Put us back in office and we will reopen the refinery. And that will solve the problems. But they're not talking about the deeper issues associated with the refinery, the debt to be serviced, and all these things. They ain't talking that because they know the ordinary layman who's supporting them, the waterfront ilk, or that's all they want to hear. We come up with and open back the refinery. So vote for her. On the next page, it says TNT set to secure status as the region's manufacturing hub. Trinidad and Tobago is one step closer to firmly securing its position as the manufacturing hub of the region, with more than half of the land at Phoenix Park Industrial Estate already leased to various manufacturing companies for setting up their operations. And Sekou Alin, the president of Foreign Direct Investment Agency InvestTT, said the park itself is complete, the infrastructure, the five built factory shells and all natural gas, electrical, sewage, and telecom infrastructure is completed. And out of the 144 acres, about 64% of the leasable space is now signed on, and they've entered into legal agreement to either customize their factory shell and begin operations or to build their own facilities and begin operations. Within the next 18 months, these companies will be operational. He also said that while over 60% is signed on, another 10% or so are in conversation or somewhere in the process of becoming signed on, which will take us to about 75 to 80%, and the other 20% would be the companies we spoke to in China or the Bahamas, and they would be the ones to fill out the park. We're expecting that around the same time next year, we are able to see that the park is full. And we are looking to expand, and we're looking for other lands to attract more persons. The UNC will talk about that. The same people who are telling the economy on the brink of collapse. The PNM destroyed this economy. These things didn't happen under them. That we have the Phoenix Park Industrial Estate is almost filled, and a lot of the entities, the companies that are taking up the space in that industrial estate. It's foreign companies, but the same UNC telling you no foreign direct investment under Keith Rowley and the PNM. No foreign direct investment, right? Yeah, nobody wants to invest in Trinidad and Tobago. But the facts speak for themselves. Namely, the facts are stubborn things. How could you vote for a party that continues to lie to you and tell you things horrible in the face of incontrovertible evidence, right? They love to quote articles in the newspapers, but like when they flipping through the pages and they see things like that, all of a sudden the cataract is just start to flare up. The glaucoma, they don't see that. So they read it, they miss that. They didn't see that. And then they flip the page and bad news, they reach Ralph Maraj diatribe, all of a sudden 2020 vision come back. Yes, and that is what they like to see. And then they flip in page again, anything good? No, shucks, cataract again. Where my eye drops? And they flip bad news, 2020 vision, and so it goes when they read in newspapers. They love to come to their meeting and hold up papers and tell you about editorial, Newsday editorial. And speaking about the Newsday, Sunday Newsday, ex-AG responds to lawsuit seeking $1 million, naked abuse of power. So it seems that the government of Trinidad and Tobago has decided to sue Anand Ramlogan and Gerald Ramdeen for the money allegedly stolen in the kickback racket. Since the DPP decided to drop the charges against them until such time as Mr. Vincent Nelson decides to play ball, which for all intents and purposes doesn't seem is going to happen anytime soon, or if at all, the government has decided to take a different route to get back the money. So unfortunately, this route won't result in them making a jail, but it could result in them having to pay back substantial sums of money to the state, monies which it is alleged they would have siphoned through kickbacks. So in the Newsday, and I think the Newsday is the only newspaper so had that as a headline, and Mrs. Prasad Bisesa spoke about this last night. She too called it an abuse of power. But the one thing she couldn't say was these gentlemen are innocent. I don't have that. Right? She talked all kind of thing about Al-Rawi and Vincent Nelson, but she couldn't say these boys are innocent. You see, and she's careful now, and she chooses her words carefully when it comes to things like this, because remember, she had to eat her words with respect to the Piarco Airport matter when it is that the DPP again dropped charges against Pandey. Remember what she said? Did you hear the good news today? That the DPP decided to drop the charges against Mr. Pandey and so on, and she described the airport scandal as a 23-year or 25-year-old PNM smear campaign designed to make the UNC look corrupt. And shortly thereafter, as expose after expose came out, when the Express and TV6 started to air contents of the Piarco Airport inquiry, right, the final report and so on, and the evidence was incontrovertible, she had no choice but to eat her words and then come and say, after saying that it was a PNM smear campaign, when she come and say, don't blame me, I wasn't the Prime Minister then, it's Pandey, and Pandey is not a part of this administration. Pandey is no longer a part of the administration of the UNC. So don't put that on me. Don't put that on us. Put that on the UNC that Pandey led. Yeah, she threw Pandey under the bus. Went from is a smear campaign to, well, it wasn't me, you know. Yeah, but you were one of the main culprits, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, in that. You were the Attorney General. You were the Attorney General after Pandey fired Ramesh, when Ramesh wanted to investigate. And he was looking for the one and only person who he could appoint as an Attorney General to do his bidding, to get rid of all the investigations that Ramesh started. And who did he choose? He chose you. He had confidence in you. You did a good job. You wasted no time as soon as you became Attorney General. First thing you looked to do, let me see how I could fire Bob Lindquist and Carl Hudson Phillips. Yeah, the lead investigator and the counsel that was assisting. You want to know how Ramesh gave them, what was the basis or the procedure by which Ramesh would have given them the brief to do this work. You want to know how Bob Lindquist could submit an interim report after 2 months and taxpayers' money spent. All that's what you were concerned about, not the findings that in 2 months Bob Lindquist was able to unearth enough information to show massive corruption. That after Jolene John went and tell Pandey, you see, what's going on inside the airport, I went to one meeting and to quote her, the greed was palpable. It was nasty. I could feel it. When I listen to them men and women talk about this licorishness to the hilt. This is Jolene after one meeting, went and tell Baz, listen, them fellas, and you see what going on inside here? And Baz said, I know, I am aware. It is a feeding frenzy and a milch cow. Baz words. He was Prime Minister, and he tell Jolene Jack. Jolene testified to that. It is on, well, not Hansard, but it is in the report. Jolene John testified to that, right? And you, Kamla, who were the Attorney General at the time, you didn't know about that. So Pandey said, I am aware, but you weren't aware. Ramesh was aware, but you weren't aware. Jolene was aware, but you weren't aware. You were the Attorney General, right? You weren't aware. And have the audacity to come 25 years later and talk about is a PNM snake campaign. You're more shameless. And want to talk about you are the Prime Minister in waiting. You are the Prime Minister in waiting, madam. That you are willing to condone that kind of wrongdoing. That Bob Lincoln described as the greatest act of fraud ever perpetrated on the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago by the government. Those are the words of Bob Lindquist. He said that he had no horse in the race, he had no PNM, he don't live here. But that is how he described that. And you were the Attorney General. You had the report, the man report. You had it there. You read the contents. What you do? That was not of importance to you. To protect the public purse. No. You wouldn't care about that. Your only concern is why Ramesh didn't tender the brief for the accountant work and the job to assist. And that is why Carl Hudson Phillips had to school you, write a whole letter and embarrass you as the Attorney General. So it's there for posterity. I've read it on many times. He had to embarrass you, the late Carl Hudson Phillips. But you're so shameless, and your supporters and them still upholding that and talking about you're the best Prime Minister this country ever see, and the best Attorney General, and the best Minister of Education. Every role you ever play in government, according to your supporters, you were the best at everything. The GOAT, the greatest of all times. And that is what they want to tell us that we should put back as a Prime Minister. We had heard how many people, David Abdullah, Jack Warner, somebody else, other persons who say they came to you when you were Prime Minister and tell you about corruption in your government, and all they said, I can't do nothing about it. I can't do anything about it. Right? When people write letters to you to report wrongdoing by your ministers, you send the letter back to your ministers and tell them, deal with it. I don't have time for that. My job is not to deal with it. My work is to cut ribbon and turn sod and smile and look pretty. Fly, take helicopter rides costing taxpayers over $6 million. That's my work. You see this bacchanal? Fix all your mess to me, please. Don't embarrass me. That was you. And that they consider to be the best Prime Minister. Entertaining energy officials and company heads in your nightie and in your duster coat and flip-flops with shower cap. When Keith Rowley visited, you see how he was impeccably dressed yesterday when he met with the head of, I think it was BP, the interim head of BP or so. That's how you're supposed to dress. You don't tell them, come upstairs now, come. I ain't put on my face yet, but all you could still come upstairs. Yeah, don't mind the duster coat. That's all right. Right. And with Wati in the corner smiling from ear to ear like a Cheshire cat at taxpayer's expense. Did Dr. Rowley take anybody with him? He took his daughter? Did he take his wife? No, he didn't. But Kamla talking last night about how much money Rowley's spending on this latest trip, this waste. Every trip Dr. Rowley take now for them, they want to know how much money it costs. Well, I want to tell her, at least the last 3 or 4 trips Dr. Rowley take, the bill or the cost for that still add up to the 6.5 million you spend on helicopter rides to fly from the Savannah to the Pink Palace and back, right? So you still owe us that money. So when you want to come and talk about how much money Rowley's spending to go abroad, to sign agreements, to bring money to Trinidad and Tobago, study that you spend 6.5 million on helicopter ride, and all we got from that was the fumes from the helicopter. But your supporters are going to talk about that. No, they're not interested in that. But they know how much money, they want to know how much money Rowley spend and Rowley spend. A naked and ridiculous abuse of power. This was the immediate reaction by former Attorney General Anand Ramlogan, senior counsel, to a civil claim filed against him and former UNC Senator Gerald Ramdeen in the aftermath of the collapse of the criminal prosecution against them last year. On Thursday, the state filed a claim against the 2 former politicians, which seeks reimbursement of sums allegedly received in a legal fees kickback conspiracy involving convicted British counsel Vincent Nelson and unquantified damages. On Saturday, Ramlogan told Sunday Newsday, this is a naked and ridiculous abuse of power. It is a bogus case designed to bypass the DPP and relitigate the collapsed criminal case. It is a separate or desperate political maneuver that is destined to fail, and the government has painted itself into an awkward corner because Vincent Nelson has sued for over 100 million. The real conspiracy concerns the multi-million-dollar payments made under the agreement along with the promise of a pardon by Faris Al-Ram. Sadly, it is the public that will have to foot the bill for this malicious prosecution, and I look forward to my day in court because I know no weapon formed against me shall prosper. The only thing I just can't understand with these men, they always quote scripture to support their wrongdoing. The Lord don't want to have nothing to do with all that foolishness, but no weapon formed against you shall prosper. What weapon? If it is that your name man, and if you hear Sheila last night, yeah, Rowley, if your name man, and do this, and if your name man, but I want to tell he, if he name man, and if Ramdeen name man, here what to do. Bring all your bank statements from 2010 to 2015. Well, not so much you, Ramdeen. And I want to tell Kamla too, if you name woman, tell Ramdeen, bring his bank statement, give it to you, and the next Monday night forum, put it up on the big screen. You know, the screen that you love to put up thing. Last time she put up an article from when she was prime minister talking about how she defended Guyana against Venezuela and so on. Tell Ramdeen if you name woman and if he name man, bring his bank statement. The statements for the account that Vincent Nelson outlined all the money that he sent to this Scotiabank account. Tell Ramdeen, give you that bank statement and come to your Monday night forum and put it up on the screen next to you and let us see all the months. Let him, we don't need to see everything. For all the months in which Nelson said he gave money and he identified the months and the date in which he gave money, tell Ramdeen, give you his bank statement and come and show us. You could redact the balance. We don't need to see the balance. We just want to see if on the whatever date of May and June and so on, if as Vincent Nelson claims, he put money into that account, if he lied, your name a woman, bring the bank statement and show us now. Put it up. You will never do that. You know why you wouldn't do that? Because you know, if you bring that bank statement, it will nail you and he and the next one to the cross. All of you. You know that. So that is why you would never bring it. But want to call out who name man and who name man and throwing out challenges. We throw out a challenge to you, bring it. A whole year later, they say, your supporters are saying, well, you see the DPP drop that case, them boy and them going and make money. They're going and sue the state for malicious prosecution up to now. Where the lawsuit? We know Logan malicious prosecution for the 9 million I call Coolman's murder, and today he's suing the state for 3.5 million each. For them, what he and Ramdeen waiting on to sue the state? How come they ain't sue for malicious prosecution yet? You know why? Because they know if they go down that road and the state has to present a defense, all that evidence can come out. The bank statement, Ramdeen bank statement will come out and we will see. Right? We will see it. But the state is asking for all of these things to be presented in this civil case. And hypocrisy knows no bounds. This is the same man who wanted to sue, or not wanted to, who sued Malcolm Jones to get back money, taxpayer money, for the gas to liquid plant. This is the same man who sued the board of ETEC, Ken Julian and Wendy Fitzwilliam and the rest of them to get back money, $5 million US for the bamboo Weber investment thing that they did. Right? This was Mr. Lawsuit. He know about civil case, want to sue everybody and the dog. But now he vexed because we want to sue him and Ramdeen for money that they alleged to have stolen from the public purse. But incontrovertible evidence, unless and until they could bring a suit against the state for malicious prosecution and wrongful arrest, unless Ramdeen could call a press conference and show us his bank statement and say, you see, this man say he gave me money on this date, and this date, unless he could go and hand Mark Bassant his bank statement to say, look, publish this in the newspaper. Look the truth here. Where is the deposit that he said he gave on this date, and this date? Unless he could do that, miss me with ABS. And they can't do it. Challenge them to all name man, well do it. Since since the DPP dropped these charges, these men have not held a press conference. You ain't hearing nothing from them. Most of the time when the media reach out to them for comment, you can't get, they have nothing to say. Not one word. This is the same Ram Logan who loved to yap. Loved to yap. But after you heard nothing from the two of them after them charges drop. You know, every day they say in prayers. Happy. The Lord didn't have nothing to do with that. Right? The Lord had nothing to do with that. But the one word anyway, let me leave that there. Let me leave that there. But I just thought I would make mention of that because Mrs. Basabi said so mentioned it last night too. I'm sure they're gonna raise it again, but I wait to see how that develops. So last night they had the Monday night forum. As I told you, Basabi Sessa again issued threats to Mr. Nicolas Maduro. So she continues to double down and triple down on her antagonism of the Maduro administration. She said this latest thing is because they have general election in Venezuela next year, and Mr. Maduro pulling the same stunt that he pulled in 2015, and he trying to create a distraction and all, and trying to build a nationalism so that the population will support him and his regime. To say, well, right, you see Maduro fighting for us and for what belongs to us, and therefore, before I go there, I crave your indulgence. But it's not Andy Roberts this morning. It's the next clock. Forgive me. Let me get it here. Put this on. It's not. I don't like to listen to him too. But you know when they go from the sublime to the ridiculous. But anyway, let me get him here. This is Munila last night, right? People shameless like that. Imagine this man have the audacity and the temerity to come and talk about is the UNC and the People Partnership that built Trinidad and Tobago. His words. Let me get him here. So, Munilal, Kunilal. Me hear that name, Jack hear that name, but they defending you today. Where is it? So,
for the National Assembly were being held.
It's not true, sir. Yes, no. Give me 1 sec, let me catch him there.
Held in December of that same.
Where Munilal? Yes. Gosh, come now, man. That's not what I want. Just now. 1 second. Right. I wanted to play a little bit of Tanku too, but anyway, we'll forget about him for now. He's a non-entity. It's Munilal I want to get. Right.
Millions that they can play now limited overs international matches, but not a test match. In fact, Brian Lara is known for his great distinction in test cricket, and you can play a test match in the Brian Lara Stadium. That is where anything the PNM built. And Jerlyn John told us a few days ago, it was on a good track. Always remember, it is the UNC, it is the People's Partnership that built Trinidad and Tobago. So don't let nobody fool you. I challenge anybody, find a highway built by the partnership. Find a stretch of road that mash up like the mosquito crack. Like the mosquito crack down here. They boasting, Alwari and others, boasting about the San Fernando waterfront project. Well, let me tell you something. I just have to pass there often to go to a gym and thing. I actually am in a gym. So, it should seem.
Yeah, when he had to tell you that he go into a gym. Yeah, clearly, the evidence doesn't speak for itself.
It wasn't. So, I pass there often enough. All they're talking about waterfront development. When you go down, there's 2 stray dogs and a crapo. They try to make a highway, it mash up, so you are still onto a 2-lane road you're driving, not 4-lane and so on. They go by the thing is the same fish market. In 1970 something, I said, carry my mother to buy fish there in the morning. It is the same fish market, the same road, the same everything.
In 1970 something, he used to carry his mother. 1970 something was 50 years ago. How old Munilal is? How old Munilal is? I say 1973. So 1973 would have been 50 years ago, right? Okay. So Munilal is in 70s. So he said, take his mother. Oh, you're taking your mother. Huh? You supposed to put her on your tricycle and ride at by yeah.
Well,
The
Happy
little things
Corner,
they
I
rely
hope some
upon.
of you don't know about that place. Still there, brothers and sisters. So nothing has changed in San Fernando. There's no waterfront project of any kind. And they built now, they give, I'm not going to call name of contractors because I don't know what they were paid for. They built part of the highway. You know, Brian, all the water started back up on that part of the highway now. The new highway is flooding before it is even open. This is the PNM. And when you look at us, we built the fire stations, Mayaro, Pinal. They don't have a fire tender here, I understand. We built the hospitals, we built the schools, over 100 schools. And I raised the point earlier using my article here about what has happened at the education center in Pinal, subject on Sunday, where they...
The UNC People's Partnership built Trinidad and Tobago. So in 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days, they were able to build Trinidad and Tobago. There was nothing before 2010. Before the 24th of May 2010, there was Trinidad and Tobago was just a desolate desert. It had nothing. We had no hospital, we had no school, no buildings, no nothing. It was only when we were blessed on the 24th of May 2010 when they won the election. And for the next 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days, all of a sudden, development like that. The PNM built nothing prior to 2010, and subsequent to the 7th of September 2015, this current PNM has built nothing, did nothing. So Trinidad and Tobago owes all of its development, according to he and Jolene John, 2010 to 2015, right? So apparently, and then he leader come afterwards and talk about, and just as Munilal and Muni and the rest of them said, the PNM has built nothing, they did nothing for the last 8 years. All right. So apparently it was the UNC, and then don't forget, same Munilal said a couple of weeks ago, or was it last week at one of the meetings, we are the government. We are the government. Yeah. So apparently the QREP interchange, they built that. The PNM didn't do that. They built that while in opposition. Also, while in opposition, they would have built the Caranage police station. Also, while in opposition, they would have built the fishing depot in Caranage, the fish fry as well. They built that. The Diego Martin Health Center on Wendy Fitzwilliam Boulevard, they built that too. The Diego Martin Administrative Complex, they built that. Also, the Diego Martin Sporting Complex, they built that too. The interchange that is currently almost complete in Diego Martin, they've been building that for the last couple of years. The PNM may do nothing. Right? Rowley and them may do nothing. All they come in the whole time is they come into office, they thief, and that is that. So the swimming pool in Mova, the swimming pool in Lavantil, the swimming pool in Maloney, the one that was almost complete in W Mirror, they build that too. The Malabar wastewater treatment plant, they build that too. The first phase of the highway from Valencia to Toco, they built that in the last 5 years. Look at work that this UNC has been doing. Well, then since the PNM ain't doing nothing, and he said that show him a road that they built that mash up. Well, since the PNM ain't paving a road, all the roads that mash up in the last 5 years or 8 years, Munila, all you to blame for that. Because all you say the PNM ain't do nothing in the last 8 years. They ain't build nothing, so they ain't pave no road. So all the roads that mash up, that is roads that all you paved between 2010 to 2015, and the roads that you all should have been paving between 2015 to now, because you all are the government. And this administration, I do nothing. They build nothing, according to all you. Yeah? All you build Trinidad and Tobago. That's why Pandey is to say, when you're in government, you must build. He said, because when you leave office and they ask you what you do with the money, you could tell them, go here and watch that. Go there and watch that. And you could point to infrastructure and they could say, well, look, we build this and we build that. Right? The enemy build nothing, according to he and his leader. Them do everything. So the 14 hospital, they build that. They build that too. And within the last 8 years, they build that, which they love to see. The central block, that is looking very good in Port of Spain, you know, when they were there between 2010 to 2015. The old hospital that was there since Jesus was in Pampas. It was they that demolished that and they built central block that is well advanced. The Ministry of Health headquarters, that is just a stone throw from Central Bank, that just completed the other day. And even Anna Roberts had to admit it was a nice building. Them build that too. Yes, them build that. Yeah, it's the UNC and the People's Partnership that built Trinidad and Tobago. So Napa and Sapa, they build that. Yeah, we did. PNM had nothing to do with that. The Prime Minister's Residence and Diplomatic Center, they build that too. The Unit Trust building, they build that. Well, I'm trying to figure out, since they built Trinidad and Tobago, well, okay. Yeah, according to him. And the supporters clapping that. Yes, Rahuli and the PNM do nothing. When Kamala talking, she referred to Dr. Williams as the father of the nation. And of course, the quintessential clown in a Robert Jump Up and Ball, he is not my father. Well, I'll give some kudos to Kamala. She told them, yes, Anil, I know that is not your father, but still, he's the father of the nation. So at least she was willing to give him some kudos and respect last night. I didn't think she had it in her, but all right. I'll give you a small clap for that, Mrs. Prasad-Visesa, for once you put that idiot in his place. But listen to her. Let's see, let me get it here. What was the first one? I always say if hypocrisy was a person, it would be Kamala Prasad-Visesa. But there are plenty of them now who fighting her for that accolade. Right? Listen to this hypocrite. Let me get this here. It was 150. Let me see if I get this. Yes, just so. I think it was 157. Yeah.
Exposing children to sexually charged conversations, innuendo, music, dancing, and behaviors. I know this is not a nice topic to speak about, but when in 1 year, 2,000 young girls have been sexually abused, we have to stand up. We have to talk about it. And we have to discuss how best we can help deal with these matters. Individuals exposing children, as I say, to sexually charged conversations, innuendo, music, dancing, and behaviors. It is not uncommon to see adults engaging in sexually suggestive and inappropriate behaviors in public or private events in the presence of children and teenagers. Individuals and society are forcing children to appear sexually attractive and engage in behaviors that are not age appropriate for the proper mental development of children. Take note, our boys and girls are being groomed through internally on themselves, and adults exploit this. Teens are facing pressure to become sexually active at younger ages because of poor social values. 13-year-old girls and boys are encouraged to look sexually active. 25-year-olds, they've been dressing like they are adults. 25-year-olds, teenagers. You in the home, you have a duty to monitor this and, police it and take charge. Sexually overt behavior targeted at children has become normalized because hypersexualized influencers and advertisers now determine social values. And to compound this, there is an epidemic of pornography addiction affecting both children and adults. Pornography addiction is a severe issue that should not be taboo for discussion. As compared to decades ago, pornography is now readily available on various internet platforms. Pornography addiction is similar to other addictions and can have very serious effects. In addition to mental issues, socialization is affected and individuals' expectations of relationships become skewed, which leads to sexual violence. And this paves the way as we go down the road for crimes, sexual crimes.
This shameless woman. And she went on to talk for probably another 3 or 4 minutes, right? Talking about children being groomed and so on and over-sexualized and all of that. This shameless woman who just recently during the Diwali celebration stood up next to one of her counselors taking pictures, at several Diwali events, most prominent, most present. This very same counselor who before the election, local government election, the last one, who before they even had, before nomination day, before the screening process took place. There were videos circulating. There was screenshots of WhatsApp messages, right? That this 30-something-year-old man was sending to a 15-year-old boy in a UNC constituency, right? Sending pictures, videos of himself naked, telling the poor boy, 15 years old, are the things that he wants to do to him, and the things that he wants the 15-year-old boy to do to him as well, right? Lie down naked in a bed and telling the boy, you see how he stand up hard for you, and the things that I want to do to you. The boy tells him, I am 15 years old. He says, oh, I thought you were 18. And rather than back off, he decides to go in full steam ahead because he realized the boy is 15 years old. So he is probably, he's still impressionable, he's underage, maybe he's easier to groom. 15 years old. So the fact that he told you he was 15, that didn't matter to you. In fact, that was an invitation to bring it on stronger. That the boy's mother had to come in the chat and tell you, he's a nasty man, what it is that you're doing, right? She screenshot, saved the messages and sent it to UNC Cabal, who posted it up on Facebook. I think it's probably still on Cabal Facebook page. Probably had to go back a few months to see it. The messages, right? The blurred pictures of this individual naked, exposing himself to this young boy. We know that the UNC, Kamla Prasad Bisesa and her operatives, we know that they know what takes place on UNC Cabal. They're always talking about it. These days, Cabal only exposing them screenshots of WhatsApp messages in UNC WhatsApp chat groups that Mrs. Prasad Bisesa is in, and they want to know where the leak coming from, who it is sending all of this information to Cabal. So we know they are well aware of the Cabal page. So Mrs. Prasad Bisesa can't fool me, right? You knew, others in your party know about this individual who running down this 15-year-old boy, right? You had nothing to say there. Nothing to say about that. You went further to screen this man and approve him as a candidate. And today, he sits as a counselor. He sits as a counselor, right? All of this information, how come he is sued? If it's a lie. Nobody has come out to deny. He himself has not denied. So we know he has a propensity towards little boys. And this mother, frustrated over the fact that this man continued to pursue her 15-year-old child, her boy child, decided to reach out to UNC Cabal. Tell him, look, expose the nastiness that's taking place there, the nastiness that is being upheld and condoned by the leadership of the UNC. She didn't care about this little boy, but you're coming now to talk nonsense and about what is happening to young children and adults who trying to groom these young men and young women. You have a man sitting down in the parliament, right? Who prior to being screened, there was information in the public domain that he may have been involved in human trafficking and prostitution. He's sitting down prominently in the parliament, asking wonderfully posing questions to members of government during the budget debate and so on. Right? He most prominent. He is the subject of a police investigation for human trafficking and prostitution. But you want to come on a Monday night forum and then to add insult to injury, do an official press release and send out that janjat and telling the media publish that. But the UNC is concerned about young people, children, talking about 2,000 girls who were sexually abused and 500 boys and all of that. And you have a man in a position of power as a counselor who could use that position to try and entice people who might be down and out, disadvantaged. Come, you want help? Bring your boy child. Bring your boy child and come, and I go help you. Your house need repairs, it's in a mess, no problem. Your son looking good. Yeah, we're willing to do. I only need, just let me carry him out for one day now, just one day. Yeah? Where's your son? Your son have a cell phone? What's his number? Give me the number now. So just turn a blind eye. So if it is that you see certain things on his phone and WhatsApp, certain videos and stuff from me, just you don't study that. I will take care of you. Yeah, I will use state resources to make sure you're all right. Your road need paving? No problem. You go deal with that. Your roof need changing? You need the grant to change your roof, to fix your house? No problem. You had 2 boy child. Yeah, man, we could work out something. She ain't talking about that. And then at the end of this, want to come and talk about the government and what the government needs to do? No, madam, you need to clean house first. Clean house first. You have no moral authority to come and talk anything about children and teenagers being groomed and so on, when it is that you have at least 2 persons within your ranks who engage in that type of activity, right? Who exploiting young people for that. And you have said nothing about it. You have not addressed it in any way, form, or fashion. And the fact that you gave the nod of approval for these people to contest national elections in this country says you're an upholder. You're condoning that nastiness. It is there. I am certain she would have seen those posts put up by UNC Cabal. The most disgusting things. And it's not once Cabal put it up. It was a series of posts put up of screenshots sent to him by this boy's mother. The fact that the boy told him he's 15 years, that wasn't enough for him to back off. Instead, go hard because he's 15, right? The mother come and tell you, you're a nasty man, whatever it is that the case may be, but I didn't stop you. But that is just one we know about. The one mother or the one parent who decided to expose him. But we don't know if it have others who might be a little more pliable, right? Who might be a little more willing for the boy child who might be 12. Because, 15, like it just made it more appealing for him. He thought the boy was 18. But when he heard 15, yeah, boy, easier to grow. You hear any of them? You hear she, Munilal, Unilal, David Lee, Tanku, any one of them talk about that? No, but they want to tell you about PNM and pedophile ring in the PNM, and the PNM stands for what it is Pedophile National Movement. They want to come and tell you about who Ken Valley was responsible for Akil Chambers. That Robert Sabga in his report in 1997 said that Ken Valley was responsible for Akil Chambers, but Akil Chambers was buggered and murdered in 98. So apparently Robert Sabga was a clairvoyant. He had a crystal ball that he went a whole year before anything happened to Akil Chambers. He wrote that in a report. And that is what Naked and these clowns continue to tell you. And the supporters lapping up that and running on radio station and coming on social media and talking that trash. But they will never address this. They vex Cabal exposing all the wrongdoing that taking place in the party. They vex about that. Yeah, all kind of you see them, they cussing Cabal, he's a nastiness and all kind of thing. But when it is Cabal exposing this kind of nastiness, they have nothing to say. They wouldn't address that. But she has the audacity, the temerity, and the gumption to come and talk last night on a platform and talking about people who and young children who are exposed and being groomed and who are sexualized and so on. And you're condoning that in your party? Look, lady, miss me this morning with that BS, please. As long as you could continue to have that individual who is the subject of a police investigation sitting in the parliament, you put him there. After several tries, he didn't get through. He finally got through in 2020. As you have him sitting there. But then you want to, the report says the government and government officials. And then the US ambassador now have to come and school you to tell you their definition of government officials is everybody who's sitting in parliament. All 41 all they consider to be you humble yourself. Yeah, you boil down like Baji. You're nothing else. Who is anybody on the government side subject of any police investigation into prostitution and human trafficking? No. How many young girls, how many 15 and 16 and 17-year-olds were probably trafficked? When it is that this individual going from party to party and function to function and carrying 2 and 3 women on his arm and propositioning people, say, you see anything here you like? Well, it have more stock, so if you don't see anything here you like, give him a business card now, tell him call. We will send you the catalog so you could go through and see if it have anything that suits your fancy. Where you're like, boys, we could deal with that for you too. No problem. Yeah, we have a stock of that too. We'll send you the catalog, you just flip through, see what you like, send us a message, and we'll organize. But she coming to talk about that. Clean house first, madam. Before you come to talk about anybody else and what the government must do and the government must do, weed out the nastiness in your own party. This poor 15-year-old boy that is traumatized, having to be being sent pictures and videos of a nasty big man, a big hardback man, telling the boy all the nasty things he want to do for him. It's too far back to go and pull up in Cabal page. Maybe I'll pull it up another day and just go through again and read for you all the messages that he was sending to this boy. All over the place. And silence from Mrs. Prasad Bisesa. Not one word. But for the Wali, you stand up next to him, smiling, all smiles, and taking pictures with this individual. You're shameless. And then coming to talk. Hypocrisy. That party. I'm going to give just a little bit of her again. Bear with me, please. Bear with me. I don't like to listen to her either, but yeah. So, look at this here.
Society. Pornography addiction is the fastest growing addiction in the world. You know, last week I talked about the drugs and the marijuana and the increase of the age to 25, from 18 to 25. You know, somebody said? They said you should have said that 25 years ago. But 25 years ago, all marijuana was illegal. It is this PNM government that legalized the marijuana, putting from age 18 onwards, and I gave the reasons last week why we should increase that age. And then someone said, you know, I think it was Marlon on a talk show. He said,
she's talking about pornography and so on. And let me remind her. This is an article dated October 16, 2016. Siparia tops the country in search for porn. Siparia is leading the country in the search for pornography on Google. That's according to statistics from Google Trends, which shows that Trinidad and Tobago continue to lead the world in searches for pornography, with the southern community leading the charge. According to Google Trends, Siparia is the #1 sub-region, with Sangre Grande, Rio Claro, Mayaro, Pinal Baby, and Point Fortin rounding out the top 5. The statistics show a steady increase in the search for porn from TNT from 2004, with a sharp increase around 2009, which has been sustained until the present time. Her constituency, Siparia. So she should know. Yeah? So she is well able to come and talk about pornography searches and so on. Yeah. Her constituency, leading for pornography searches. What are they searching for? So what's taking place in Siparia? Maybe you should go and hold a town hall meeting in Siparia and talk about that. Talk that talk. Yeah? Go and talk to your constituents. Read these statistics and let them know what is going on according to Google statistics, not TSTT, not Amplia. Google saying so that this region, Siparia, leading your constituency, madam. Yeah? So it seems that your constituency have a lot of thirsty people. But you could come and talk that. I wonder why you're condoning that kind of thing. I'm going to give Olia a little piece again. Not of that. Just now. Let me give Olia her threat to Mr. Maduro. Was it 2, 4, this? Just now.
he said, you know what happened? People don't have to go on the drug block again to find marijuana.
Yeah, they could just come by. They could just come by the Pink Palace and go by the window. But where it was found at the Pink Palace while she was Prime Minister. Yeah, I don't go far. How it end up there? Hypocrite. That's now.
Maduro government in Venezuela, they proclaimed a presidential decree claiming the maritime waters encompassing Guyana's exclusive economic zone. Been there before, he's done that. They did that then because guess what? Parliamentary elections for the National Assembly were being held in December of that same year, 2015. What did I do in 2015 when I was your Prime Minister? There's an article up on the screen. I don't know if you can see it. Look at that screen. Keep on the screen for a few minutes. This year, that article, headline, Trinidad and Tobago, this is when I was Prime Minister in 2015, when Maduro declared his intentions to invade Guyana about the territorial waters. Trinidad and Tobago stands in full support of Guyana and declares of Venezuela's decree as a violation of international law. Backwards, go back, remember. The article continues. The Prime Minister of TNT, Kamala Prasad-Bisesa, on Friday announced that her government stands in full support of Guyana in the wake of the decree by Venezuela claiming Guyana's territorial waters. Ms. Prasad Bisesa met with Ghana's then President, David Granger, on Friday morning for bilateral talks. And just after those talks, she indicated that Trinidad and Tobago could not sit idly by and not show its support for Guyana in this latest conflict with Venezuela. The article continues. The Prime Minister reiterated that we pledge our support to Guyana in this matter. We pledge our commitment to support Guyana, and we have always supported Guyana and will continue to do so. Continuing in the article, Trinidad and Tobago shares very good relations with Venezuela, but the Prime Minister said, even as those relations remain unchanged, Guyana will get its support on the border controversy. That was in 2015. That is what I did. I stood up for the people of Guyana in 2015, and the UNC will now stand with the people of Guyana in 2023 and 2024. The same playbook. Venezuelan elections are due in 2024. And so you're hearing the war cries, beating the war drums, mustering troops. Venezuelan elections due 2024. Maduro returns with the same tired dictator playbook. He threatens Guyana and makes territorial claims to whip up national support. It didn't work in 2015. It will not work again in 2023 and 4. I don't want to hear that my support is because Guyana has oil, discovered oil. At that time, not one drop of oil was pumped out of Guyana soil in 2015 when we gave our commitment as a government and people of Trinidad and Tobago to support Guyana in 2015. So that is rubbish to say, oh, we're only saying this now because Guyana is oil rich. I stood at Guyana before, as I said, before they had a drop of oil out of the soil in July 2015. I also don't want to hear it being said, because they do the dog whistle all the time about race, that we are supporting, the UNC is supporting, because Guyana now has persons in their government, at the head of government, who are Indian. So Indian-led government either. I want you to look at that picture, if we have it up on the screen. That is former President David Granger, whom I supported against Venezuelan aggression in 2015. We stood side by side with him and the people of Guyana. My support was given due to the unbreakable bonds between us and our Guyanese brothers and sisters. And that is what we will do. We will stand with them again. So what is happening now? Rowley sheepishly hides behind the name because it's a zone of peace. What is a zone of peace, Rowley? Listen, my clear message to Maduro tonight is, if you interfere with the Guyanese people, you interfere with the people of Trinidad and Tobago. You touch one, and you touch all. We fully support the people of Guyana in this crisis, and we call upon Maduro to obey international law and stay out of the lands occupied by Guyana. I also tell the Guyanese people what I tell you all the time: stand your ground. Stand your ground. You have suffered for too long. Now you have a great future. Don't let anyone take it from you. Stand your ground. And if TNT support with respect to the Dragon Gas deal, if TNT support in that deal means we have to wait longer for that Dragon Gas, so be it. The government must ensure that that Dragon Gas deal does go through, but that the revenue Maduro collects from it is not used for purchasing weapons to use against the Guyanese people or the Venezuelan opposition. We must make sure in whatever arrangements we have with Venezuela that the money they make from that will not end up militarizing through arms and ammunition the Maduro government, which they can then use against the Guyanese people and against opposition forces in Ghana. We should not get into any business dealings with Maduro that could help finance any military action against Ghana. Rowley's talk about the region remaining a zone of peace is not enough. Guyana must know They have the full support with meaningful backing and practical backing from the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Years ago, Eric Williams had told us, years ago, the father of our nation, he had told us, Anil, he is viewed as the father of our nation. Not your father, but he's viewed as the father of the nation. And he had told us that Venezuela had designs on Trinidad and Tobago territory. So you better watch out, what happening up in Guyana could be happening here in TNT. We must take our position clearly, stand with Guyana and stand with the CARICOM in our own defense.
Right. See, so she come talking about years ago, Eric Williams said. So in other words, Trinidad and Tobago, they must support Guyana because you know what they say, when you leave a house on fire with yours. So when Maduro finish with Guyana, he will come to take Trinidad too. Really? Mrs. Prasad said there's a border between. Anyway, but after that, you all really think if she comes back into power in 2025 and Nicolas Maduro is still president of Ghana, he wants anything to do with her? You feel he wants anything to do with her as prime minister? When she continues to make statements like that, you touch one, you touch all. Who is she to speak on behalf of all of Trinidad and Tobago? She needed to qualify that statement that she made, right? That the 309,000 people that voted for the UNC in 2020, she speaks for them. The 189,000 who voted for them and the NTA on August 14th, she speaks for them. She does not speak for the rest of us. She needs to qualify that statement. Let Mr. Maduro know. It's not the whole of Trinidad and Tobago I speak for him. I speak for about 1/5. 1/5 of the country's population. Or less. Because I'm sure they've lost some support since 2020, as evidenced in the local election. But she speaks for 1/5. So she needs to qualify her statement. But when you make an antagonistic statement, you feel the Venezuelan embassy here in Guyana, when the media decides to report on that today or tomorrow, you think the Venezuelan ambassador and persons at the embassy don't read the newspapers, they don't listen to the news, they don't listen to the radio to hear these things, to report back to Caracas what is the position of the opposition in Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, Mr. Maduro must be concerned. He is aware that in the same way his country has an election in 2024, we have one in 2025. And given the prominence that has been placed on this whole dragon gas deal, that he, Mr. Maduro himself, has taken to posting on Twitter and on Instagram, then last he would have signed off on the agreement with Stuart Young within minutes of that signing taking place, even before Stuart Young could make the announcement. Mr. Maduro's it was announced on his Instagram page. So this is something that he's proud of and he's invested in, because he sees the benefits that could be derived from this dragon gas deal, not just for Trinidad and Tobago, but for the citizens of Venezuela as well. He understands that. So this is not just something that he have his officials of PDVSA dealing with some state agency. He has a personal stake in this. He is meeting with Stuart Young. His vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, is meeting with Stuart Young and officials from Trinidad and Tobago. So they are personally invested in this. So when you have the opposition in Trinidad and Tobago, who could possibly come into office in 2025, issuing threats to Mr. Maduro, and she talking about the thing Eric Williams say, when you engage in that type of antagonism, what do you expect Maduro to do? If there's a government in place in Trinidad and Tobago that is against it, the fact that you all wrote to the National Assembly, tell them to support no dragon gas deal since 2016. You supported Guaido as the official president of Venezuela, therefore, you sanctioned or were supporting the ouster of Mr. Maduro. So he knows you don't support him and his government. Several times, I didn't play the whole thing, but several times in that clip, she called Mr. Maduro, last night, she called Mr. Maduro a dictator, talked about his dictatorial tendencies and so on. So he is well aware. How can I now, as president, sit down with a woman who has said all of these things about me? When I have a whole dossier of all the nasty things she has said about me, members of her party have said about me, he don't want nothing to do with them. So that's why I'm telling you. So while she talks about the government must ensure that the dragon gas deal goes through, but You say that now, and then 2 minutes later, you're saying that the government must not engage in any transactions with financial transactions with Nicolas Maduro's government. So what's supposed to happen? They must put it through. They must ensure it go through, but they mustn't have any dealings with Maduro. Maduro is the president of Venezuela, at least until December next year. So understand, when they come and talk about the drug and gas deal and this and that, what their motive is. They know if they come back into power, that drug and gas deal dead. And it is better for them if it dies before the election of 2025. It is better if it dies before, if God forbid, they come back into office. Because if the PNM makes significant headway with respect to this drug and gas deal to the point where it has come to a conclusion, and then they come into office in 2025, and because they come into office, Maduro decides he don't want nothing to do with them, and he cancels this thing, and he say, you know what, forget it. We don't want no dealings with the Kamala Prasad administration. We were dealing with Dr. Rowley and his people. They are no longer there. This woman is on record as having called me a dictator, said the worst things about me and my government, calling for sanctions and so on. We don't want nothing to do with them. Squash that, you'll get somebody else to develop that. The licks that she and her government will get very early on if they were to come into power in 2025, because the blame will be put on them. Because Dr. Rowley and the PNM could say that when we demitted office, this is where we had reached. We had signed on all the agreements and everything was in place. Everything was in place for this to take effect. And as soon as they come in, because of things that they said when they were in opposition, because of the position that they took against Maduro and his government that they were in opposition, the drug and gas deal has fallen through. And all the benefits that were to be derived by Trinidad and Tobago from this deal has now gone down the drain. You hear what she's saying there? We could wait a little longer. How long is long, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa? Until Maduro dies? Or until you're hoping that the US come in and depose Mr. Maduro? Is that what you're hoping for? The same party that complaining about foreign exchange shortage and the economy, she is telling you that this one drug and gas deal that could accelerate the pace of economic development in this country, that could increase the flow of foreign exchange into the country. She's telling you there, we could wait a little longer. Yeah, we don't need to rush it now. The US has given us a 2-year license, while Joe Biden is still there. Don't know what could happen next year because the US also has a general election next year. And we know that the Trump administration is anti-Venezuela, anti-Maduro. So if we don't act on it now, and let's say, God forbid, that clown Trump comes back into office in 2025, and he decides, well, you see, Joe Biden's posturing to Venezuela, I'm not supporting that. So anything that Biden sanctioned or any concessions that he made with respect to sanctions, remove that. We're going hard against Venezuela. All for naught. So that is why this administration needs to make sure they get this thing in place as quickly as possible. And she's saying, no, we could wait a little longer. We could wait a little longer to fix the Forex problem. We could wait a little longer to accelerate the economy. We could wait a little longer to improve our natural gas position. Yeah, and all the investments that would flow from that, according to her, the Prime Minister in waiting, we could wait a little longer. And the supporters supporting that. They're applauding that. Yes, that is good. So keep probably pushing through this thing. And she's saying, no, hold up, we ain't going to go so fast, man. We could wait another 10 years, another 15 years. And her supporters saying, yes, that is the person we need as Prime Minister of this country. Yeah? That's who they supported. Yeah, that is good governance. Just like, I just wanted to touch on one thing as quickly again. I see this Munilal man. If it isn't evident that I don't like him, well, I don't know what else I could do to emphasize that enough. He and Anel, I don't like. Really, really don't like them. But to hear him talk about, development. 2 weeks ago, I think it was in the parliament or at one of the meetings where I told you all, we talk about, under them, they built 6,000 houses. 6,000 houses, right? And I asked, where are these 6,000 houses? Between 2010 to 2015, the only time you hear Munilal talk about how much house they built was when he talked about terrestrial lands, to say that there were houses ready for occupation. And as I always say, when the media went, they found a load of gravel, a load of sand, and tobacco, right? In terrestrial lands. I heard him a couple nights ago saying they built 8,000 houses. So the figure growing from 6,000 2 weeks ago today is 8,000. So it grew by 2,000. So I don't know if it is he didn't get a memo 2 weeks ago that was 8. Probably by the time election come around in 2025, we might hear they build 20,000 houses between 2010 to 2050. 789 million of which we can't find. Right? Can't find it. No word from he or any of them about that. But terrestrial lands, imagine, this is UNC housing policy. Land for the landless. We will take state land, free land that the government has, and we will give it away to the poor, right? Under a program called Land for the Landless. And then we will take hundreds of millions of dollars from the treasury, and we will go and buy private land to build a house. 200 million for the terrestrial lands, $175 million for Caroni land, former Caroni land, that they purchased from Eden Gardens, right? 375 million at least they spent to buy private land to build a house. But you have free government land all over this country to build a house. You're taking it to give it away under something called Land for the Landless. So basically you're giving people the right to squat. Yeah? And then you have to now go and spend money to develop these squatter settlements. And then come to regularize. Instead of building housing there, the HGC, their policy, good policy, is to buy private land to build a house. That is UNC policy for you. UNC logic, also known as donkey logic. But the supporters clapping that and applauding that. But want to cost the PNM and have the audacity to call PNM supporters dunce. But that kind of thing, they support it. That is good governance. And we drinking Balize juice. But maybe others should come and start to drink Balize juice too. PNM should start marketing now. We could finish Balize house. Because like the supporters of that party only need some Balize juice. Seriously. Something had to be wrong with it. 7701763. I'll put this thing back on there. Bunch of jokers, yes? Look. Let's turn off this. This one. Jenny, morning.
Kamala Pasabi says that could not seriously be talking about grooming young people and pornography and anything sexual. When this government was fighting in Parliament to stop the marriage and hardback mental to children, then she sent 2 scholars, Indian scholars, to fight to show why it is we could continue to marry little girls. Minister Camille Robertson said that the Minister of Marriage has evidence to show little children as young as 11 years old, Indian girls, was being married to hardback man all in the 50s and 40s. So Kamala can't come and tell me nothing but no children and protecting children. And next thing she's talking about marijuana. Marijuana has not been legalized in Trinidad and Tobago. It has been decriminalized. You can have small amounts. But actually, the amount that she had on her windowsill, where she tells Jack and them if they come back home and resign, you can hear it on forms or something. So who don't talking about marijuana? What about the things we hear? It is alleged as one in the Pink Palace. What about all when she party, as you rightly said? It's not we say, it's Dr. Deba Maraj say that she know it have human trafficking going on in the UNC. Pastor Maraj said the same thing. And they spoke about a particular MP in the UNC. So who could tell me about sex things and about grooming children? It's not part of trafficking, human trafficking. It's little girls, boys, women who are indoctrinated and held on, beaten, raped, for men to carry sex act or women to carry sex act on them. Kamala Pasabi's sister is obscene. And she really needs to get an intervention and AA. Because that head she put coming there, can't come. It ain't coming from me. That head she push in there, cannot be Tessa is just about power, like she just going mad with it. And all who supported you and saying it here no. All the dressers obscene. Or they don't understand what is this come up beside this thing because they're blinded by all the hate to the PNM and Dr. Rowley. Because I know in Hinduism, because it's colorism, but another thing with that, some Indian scholars would have said, the Hinduism they practice it here. If it was the true Hinduism from India, the kind of things they're behaving with is never like that because Hinduism is not about colorism and that kind of thing. So they need to check themselves and see exactly what it is. And why I'm inclined to believe that? Because in 1845, when the Dalits came here, they were highly literate because they couldn't read and write in India. They were educated to life in the street, picking up filth and all that. That's what we live in because they were the Alwakas. It wasn't even the full 24 farmers. It's later on they tried to include them. So when they came here, because there was no pundit, there was no priest, nothing in India. They couldn't go in a temple. They couldn't go close to a Brahmin. So it's whatever bits and pieces that they remember of how Hinduism is practiced and bring to Trinidad. And they would have formed their own thing. I say that unreservedly because there's evidence to show that. So they have formed their own society in Trinidad. And we are seeing it is based on colorism a large extent. And because Kamala Prasad Bissessa is of a high color, I think that may be the reason why she's been considered this type of goddess to them, because it has to do with colorism. So I say at the end again, people who are saying that UNC is never to come back in office again, the only way that could happen is if all they go out and all the numbers in 2025 vote resoundingly for the People's National Movement. It's not good enough for they just say they're not coming back. Or they have to do something. And the choice you will have is to get up the morning of the election day 2025 and make that commitment to go and vote for a member of parliament who is a PNM member of parliament or who the candidate going up for PNM. That's the only way. Otherwise, just talking about they coming back, that is just empty talk. Because trust me, the 18 or 19 see them continue to retain. It's because whether they talk sense or nonsense. When the morning for election comes, Mita, Pan, Bauchi, Nene, everybody walking stick, wheelchair, going and vote to the UNC. So let's sit on there and let's say they ain't coming back. And we'll go and do the final work, which will make sure they come back. And that is vote and vote resoundingly to the People's National Movement. So that when they sit in Parliament, they have a large majority. So that when they have to pass good laws for this country, they don't have to wait on a special majority. Other than that, we just talk and just so. Dominic, have a blessed morning and everybody loves you.
Thank you, Jen. Hello, good morning.
Hey, morning, brother. How you doing?
Morning, sir.
Nice. Good to have you back on. Listen, I just want to jump off from what Jen would have spoken about, right? I'm like, what is Matiku night about?
Remind me, I know it has something to do with the Hindu wedding and so on.
Matiku night is the night where the Hindu elder woman would demonstrate to the bride with various things, various objects, of phallus shape, with raucous music and dancing and so on how what she's expected to do for her husband on wedding night. Matiku night is the origins of chutney music. But it was something where women, mostly, well, but mainly women, or the women in the Hindu tradition would be. It would mean, Dominic, that young girls would have been there. Because as Jen would have pointed out, it was child marriages with child brides. That went on in this country for over 60 years. Right? I, in my former profession, would have performed extra duties at many chutney shows.
Right.
And showed the behavior of these people in these chutney shows. In fact, some of them, when they get highly intoxicated, would make remarks about the ethnicity of the police officers there and where they went there and so on. Because they felt that these events should only be policed by officers who look like them, so that the behavior would be kept in-house. Right? And they wouldn't go out there. Now, in addition to the defense of the age to marry, right? Being kept a certain way, when she brought in those two temporary senators and so on. Remember also that she said that she's a proud Hindu woman.
Yes.
She said that Satmaraj was her guru. And what that demonstrates is subservient to the culture. No matter how educated or how much of a professional woman you are, you will know your place. That is what is championed in a particular sector of our society, Dominic. You have a sister who is a professional woman. Would she subvert her professional qualifications or what she wants to achieve? Or would she be stopped from doing that or put in a place by her husband or partner? Will you do that to your partner or wife, Dominic, in future? Come on.
Certainly not.
Right? I'm going to be honest about that. That is one particular section of society that does that. And I'm saying, listen, I am no prude or whoever it is. But with the explosion of the internet from the mid-1990s to now, there is no way to stop people from accessing porn. Unless if you do like what China and other societies do, which is to use, to block certain, what do I call it? Prevent your ISP from accepting certain data.
Yeah.
That is how you control it. That is what Singapore does. That is what China does to a large extent. That is what so many Middle Eastern countries do. Right? And I'm saying, when you look at the past 3 years, remember we in the past 3 years, Dominic, were notorious for being in the top 3 of all internet searches for porn?
Yes.
Who is doing that? Is it children alone? Come on. There are things you can do on any device, Dominic.
Yeah.
Your phone, from your phone to your laptop to your tablet to your desktop computer to block certain sites as a parent. The software is built into all devices. And then if you want to take it on another notch, you could pay some money and buy these programs.
Yes.
There are programs and apps where you can monitor the content on your children's phone, how long they use their phone and so on. You could cut off in the night. You could do that. Right?
Yes.
But I want to move on to your about the former AG and talking about the witch hunt and so on. Remember, it was Mr. Nelson's evidence in the deposition that he gave to now retired ACP William Nurse in the 14 or 10-hour deposition he gave in Barbados, where he said that the letterhead of the AG's office is what was sent to him. Didn't he say that, Dom?
Yes, he did.
That is out there. That is out there. And that is when the former AG was already back in private practice. So the witcher is not coming from anybody. All the government is doing is simply relying on all the evidence it has to pursue a civil matter. Now that it appears that the criminal matters may have gone to bed. may have gone to bed. I wonder if the former AG and his retinue would have heard the statement of the president of the UK Supreme Court concerning how they feel about litigants coming to the Privy Council. Dominic, once again, the people are practically begging us to go.
Yes.
Begging us to go.
Yes.
Darian Marcel spoke about that yesterday. But the man is saying the fact that these 15 Commonwealth countries still come to England for justice is an anachronism.
Yes.
They don't want us there, because you know the man is saying. The man is saying it takes away from the time they have to adjudicate on matters concerning English litigants, the UK litigants. But we're saying we want the white man justice. The white man want to go, you know?
Yes.
Take on the judge bundle and go from here. We so far removed from all the reality. Why are they coming here?
Right.
Is the president of the UK Supreme Court. The man is saying judicial time is wasted on these appeals. Is that what the man is saying, you know?
Yes.
And then the expense that they had to come from the British Exchequer to maintain the courts. The staff, you know what I mean? The buildings. But we don't want to stay. Dr. Amy Brown was so clear yesterday when he spoke about our role with that situation. We have no role. As part of CARICOM, we have given a statement and we have taken a position that is supported by all the heads. Perhaps the good lady should go back to how CARICOM was nearly torn asunder with her not an ATM statement. You should recall that.
Yes.
We went to the depths of relations with our CARICOM neighbors. Where there was even talk of a goods war to boycott Trini products. Which would have been led by Jamaica. We wanted to go back to the bad old days of when the Federation ended in 1962. If you want to invoke Eric Williams. Failure. And you know, that thing I spoke about with the posting of the UNC cabal and so on and the gentleman, I would have also saw that. But this person has gone forward. Now, I want to say that the mother going to the UNC cabal is tomfoolery as well. Why don't you take the phone to the child protection unit in your area and the cybercrime unit of the fraud squad for a fulsome inquiry to start and a criminal probe be brought against this big man. And once again expose that all the UNCs are home for is misfits, clowns, and crooks. And this is what will be to the forefront with people going forward to 2025. This is the choice you have. The government didn't do nothing for 8 years according to Munilal, but I drove down there and I will get lost, Dominic.
Yeah.
I get lost. I got custom using that route to avoid, you know, I mean, Lady Hills Avenue and so on. And I was like, what the hell? We have to go now. And then, of course, they signage. So I was able to make my way back. And I tell you, I'm traveling down in that part of the country for years. That's how it was. The work has been done on a phase basis. Mr. Ravi explained that when they opened that part of the road and so on, because they're negotiating with people who live there, right? And so on. It's taking time, but it will be done. It's a plan. But see what? Who have yesterday here? Why does you don't answer the question? Why did the big campus that they run and built in UV cannot be open? Right?
Yes.
To cater for people from the Southland. Why can't be open? Let them answer that question. You know, I wish the government in Parliament could have a session where they could also ask the opposition questions too.
That would be
about
great.
doing their tenure.
Correct. Yeah.
You see how they could bring these frivolous private members' motions? The government should be able to do that. Totish. But my brother, thanks again for the information. I appreciate it. Let's almost someone else jump on now to the greatest media show on social media, the facts are stubborn things.
Thank you so much.
Take care, brother.
You too.
I'll continue.
Thank you. Always a great contribution. Let's see what we have here. We say good morning to Marceline Ned, who is celebrating her 24th anniversary today. Congratulations to you, Marceline, and I hope it's a great one. Brian, call me back. You see. Let's see what else. Jenny is saying when they see African women whining, this are the worst to say. While the elder East Indian women will show them how to have sex using melangen, etc. Whole ceremony, Matikuru night. 7701763. Where is Brian? What see here? What we have here. Right. Josephine Guy is saying, come now with this government. Mr. Chance, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, how you doing? How you doing?
I am good. Yes, Mr. Chance, go ahead.
Yes, okay. I want to, it's a simple thing. I want to thank you for your very, informative discourse. And you touched on so many areas. Jenny made a very important point, I think, and I just want to line up too. But part of my contribution, I want to focus on this part where he tried to deprive the brand of the stadium. And that's what my main focus was going to be. But I like the part where you focused on the battle and the state had chewed Ramdin and Ramlogan to recover some of the resources. And what is interesting to me, the claim that the state has made is pertaining to bribery, conspiracy, and dishonest officer. That is the claim made by the state. I fully support the Attorney General because he told us when the DPP discontinued this matter that he will leave no stone unturned to try to reimburse the people of Trinidad and Tobago of all the possible monies that may be available in this matter. And I want to quote him now, the Attorney General, because I have noted myself as a citizen that from time to time he slips out of the country and comes back in very quietly. And it is my view that he is pursuing this matter in a very serious way. And I'm quoting him now, he said, having obtained a fuller account of the DPP's decision, I will be taking the advice of eminent local and foreign senior and king counsel to ensure that no stone is left unturned in the pursuit of justice for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So I congratulate the government on that because as a citizen, this is a matter that is very close to my heart, and I want some real resolution in that. The second point I want to thank you for raising is the question of the Phoenix Park. And that is something that is below all discourse. And I compliment you for raising it because that is a very important industrial development that is taking place down there in South Trinidad. And the point you raised is that I have the clip here where it says that 2/3 of the warehouses are already filled in the Phoenix Park. And that only a few days ago, Summit Luggage exported over 4,700 pieces of luggage to North America and Europe. I know the people of Trinidad and Tobago are hearing this. Matters or exports coming out of Trinidad and Tobago under the label Summit Trinidad and Tobago Luggage, a company that comes out of China, and they are exporting luggage to North America and Europe. The first set of luggage that went out 4,700, and they intend to continue doing that. And that industrial estate has occupied, I mean, they are two-thirds of the section of that industrial estate have been occupied. It is a step in the right direction for the government, and I support the government with that as well. But let me come finally in the area where the that clip that I thought was very important, that Dr. Munir had the audacity, the severity, and the bravery and boldness to say that this is Trinidad and today. I mean, that hurts me to the core.
Yes.
But because I have limited time here and the program that I will just give with Brian Lara Academy. And I'm doing it from a point of very interest, because I served in this country at one time as director of sport for more than 12 years. So I'm speaking on this matter with intimate knowledge of the Brian Lara facility from conception to completion. And I want to tell you why Munina has come out with that. There is something going to happen in Trinidad and Tobago in June 2024. And that is the West Indies is going to, together with the United States, will be hosting the ICC T20 World Cup. People of Trinidad and Tobago, the people listening to this program, are you hearing me? The West Indies, together with the United States, will be hosting the T20 World Cup. You know that World Cup football? Well, we are going to be hosting the T20 World Cup in cricket. And you know, one of the venues that's elected for that is the Brian Lara Academy in Trinidad. Do you know that the Oval is just a training venue? Do you know that the ICC has already identified the Brian Lara facility as a facility to host that World Cup? We have countries like England, Pakistan, Australia, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and all the top critical nations of the world will converge to engage in the World ICC World Cup. So this bold-faced, brass-faced, political nincompoop is looking at a facility and trying to decry, talking about the not-trade test matches. But I want to let him know that that facility is one of the facilities to be considered to hold the final of the T20 World Cup. Anybody listening, tell Mr. Mundaga from me. Kensington Oval in Barbados and the Brian facility in Trinidad and Tobago are being considered among the top facilities to host it. I am not saying we are hosting it. I'm saying that we are from that facility in such an international facility. And this political threat is talking about not meeting state standards. Well, let me tell you something. That field meets all standards. Do you know why? Because it is ICC approved. International Cricket Council approved. And I recall, because I was there in the stadium, when the UNC, top teams of the UNC, put clothing and cloth and lime and so on in the washroom and caused a flood to embarrass. I knew of all the efforts made to try to design conducive from coming to Trinidad and Tobago, all promoted by the UNC. I know that they sent information to India telling them that if they come to this game, that stadium, the roof of this stadium will collapse. That is what they have sent out to the world. And today, I am alive to see that same facility, the world is going to converge on that next year in June 2024 to engage in the T20 World Cricket Cup. What's the hypocrisy coming out of the mouth of Dr. Munir? I know he's preempting that. I thought I would just read that contribution this morning on the program to demonstrate the level of hypocrisy, the level of unpatriotic conduct coming out of Munzara, where that facility in Trinidad and Tobago, it will be the focal point of the critical world in June 2024. That's very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jones. I want to ask Monilal, what all your bill to play cricket? You have any facilities, sir? Where they pay the penal recreational ground that you all spent $139 million to refurbish? They'll play cricket there. They can play test matches there. Clown. Just now, let me see. Hold on there, Brian. 1 sec. See this one. Give me 1 second there, Brian. Yes, Brian, go ahead. Brian.
Yeah, morning,
sir.
Dominic.
Morning.
Morning to your listeners, callers, and viewers. Dominic, I remember, I'm going to bounce off what Mr. Chance spoke about. It's about a little imp called Barry Padarat. Was questioning the safety. It was safe for people to go and sit there to watch cricket and how dangerous it would be and how it was not pre-qualified to hold cricket matches and the government will be held responsible for anything that should happen to anybody down there. I remember the writing Sachin Tendulkar, Brian Lara's good friend, when they were having the opening match on that ground, an invitational friendly, amongst his very, very cherished friends, among others. They wrote Sachin and tell him, don't come here. Your life will be at stake. And Sachin decided he wouldn't come. They didn't write Sir Curtly Ambrose, who was here. No, not he. They write Sachin Tendulkar. I say, brother, don't come here because you might lose your life. These nasty, wicked people. And on the night of the game, I remember coming down the highway and saying, what all these things, like something happened? Forgetting that they had a match on that evening. Attempting to stop and tell people, don't go inside there. As Mr. Chance rightly said, how they stop up the brand new toilets and all sorts of things so it wouldn't flush properly. But come next year, you go see them same people going and sit down in the Brian Lara Stadium to watch cricket. That same Padarat. You understand? And that is why the people opening the mouth are talking about propaganda and all kind of stupidness. We must remind them of these things. What they attempted to do, albeit partly successful, because as I said, Tendulkar didn't come. You understand? Because of the hate in the stone-filled heart for the PNM. That stadium was to stay there and rot away. That Brian Lara stadium. Because Brian Lara went down there and he saw it. He wanted his name removed, and Dr. Raleigh said, no, Brian, don't worry, we'll fix it. Because them always threatening to fix. They never fix nothing. Unless, of course, it was inflated, sent some money, where they have a kickback somewhere along the line. But they left it there. Same Brian Lara, who they were once proud to go and sit down and play. When he performed and scored all of these runs and made Trinidad and Tobago and the West Indies by extension a proud society. That same Brian Lara, the Prince of Port of Spain, they didn't love him enough to see that stadium go up with his name at the hill. And younger cricketers of all races would have been able to go to the academy there and strengthen the skill and represent Trinidad and Tobago and make everybody in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean better for it. That is why cricket going downhill as it is now. That's why Dr. Rowley now is trying his best to see what he can do. But they won't talk about those things. But the next issue is, one of these days, Dominic, one of our cases will go to the Privy Council. You know what they're going to do? They're going to send it back and say, we're going to have a criminal put of justice. Let them deal with that.
Yes.
Don't send no more cases back here. They waited for that because you see, we like white people. We don't like our own. You understand? And we use race as an excuse. They don't have enough Indians in the CCJ. Wait, I want no right from Trinidad. Imagine that court, that headquarters is in Trinidad. And we don't even use it. But that is the most shameful thing I have ever seen, ever. But it is what it is. But one of these days, our cases will get sent back right down here. And we will have to use that same Caribbean Court of Justice to deal with our matters. And again, Pararat again wanted the Prime Minister to say something. And this morning they had Mariano Brown, and he was quite correct, I must admit. He said he knows what they want. They want Dr. Rowley to make a definitive statement condemning Venezuela in this Essequibo issue. Although they know a statement has already been made. They know, they are aware. But Kamala wants to sound like she could fight. Lucky Seven sounding as though she could fight anybody. And misusing and saying she representing you touch one, you touch all. Huh? I think Simpleton expounded on exactly what happened when she was there as Prime Minister. So which Caribbean she talking? Which all Caribbean she talking? CARICOM she talking about? She must really explain that, as you rightly asked. Explain that to us. You want Dr. Rowley to go and get involved in something that has absolutely two sovereign nations have to deal with, and there's an international court to deal with that matter, and they have dealt with it to a certain extent, and they will further deal with it again. But you want Dr. Rowley to go and serve out in the middle there and talk about the Essequibo to Guyana and Venezuela and threaten Venezuela? And look at the stymie and scuttle our ability to get that dragon deal. That is so hurting them. That is the reason why, it's that dragon deal that is hurting them. Because they know it will bring prosperity to the country. Because when they were there, they did nothing.
Correct.
That is why the downstream industries had to put them in court for $8 billion. Because they refused to negotiate, because they could not negotiate. They didn't know what to do. So they lied to us, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the upstreamers and the downstreamers. It took Dr. Rowley. Dr. Rowley has been, I keep saying this, he has been fighting on our behalf since he got into office in 2015, September. And he continues to firefight. All we see happening over the last 8 years is how much thieving went on. Down to phone card thieving. Not phone card, sorry, but they call it the cards that the Donald Cox found. You understand the food cards?
Yes.
So it's thief. I know you committed test. You threatening Venezuela, or you supporting Guyana? Really? And it's to leave back on the. We need the gas right now. We are doing 2.6 million scopes a day, which is not good enough to maximize on the downstream industries in Quebec, in Point Lisas. They need more gas. So we're looking to see how quickly we can get that gas on stream that will benefit both us and Venezuela, now that we can pay them in whatever currency that they want.
Yes.
And especially, as you rightly said, before the election, let's heaven forbid that Donald Trump get back in power and not make a jail. We'll be in trouble because all of it will be scuttled, and that is what they are depending on. That something like that to happen, to scuttle that negotiations. And that is why the Minister of Energy is back and forth like a yo-yo. Because he has no choice. He's working as fast as he can, he and his team. Because we need to have this completed for the negotiations and everybody happy. As I told you on Sunday, McDermott is already been hired by, contracted by Shell to do the preparatory work, the infrastructural work, and everything is moving up here, but they don't want that. They don't want it for Trinidad and Tobago. These people do not have this country at heart. It's a pure hate. And you could see it every day, every time they open their mouth. You could see the hate coming out of it. Well, I'm not going to say that is not my father. What do you mean by that? That waste of time, good for nothing. This is what we have to face on a daily basis. This government is trying to get this country going. They're going to sign an important, a very important document. I can't wait for the Honorable Prime Minister to come back to tell us what he has signed in England. And we'll know what shares now we have in all the other trains that we don't have shares in. You think that will tell them a good job? They would not say that. And they know it is good for Trinidad and Tobago. They know the amount of money we will gain from Atlantic LNG now. We'll have a really serious intake and infusion into that plant running to maximum capacity with gas coming down there. And they want to scuttle that with this Essequibo issue. And Dr. Rowley must get involved and he must mediate. Mediate and say what? There is history.
Yes.
The president of the International Court spoke about it since 1889. He want Dr. Rowley to go in to talk about what? 25 million people 7 miles away, Dominic.
Yeah.
And they want to get involved in that? This is Trinidad and Tobago. They have 25 times the amount of people that we have. And Dr. Rowley must get involved in that too. Because Guyana can handle the stories. And they are doing very, very well. Every time I hear Ronaldo speak, the president of Guyana, he's handling his stories. And he has support from America. What we could do? But Kamala would want to get involved in this issue. You see, power is a hell of a thing, and it corrupts absolutely. And she wants to feel as though, let some people believe that she has some kind of weight. Look, she said we have no weight. Threatening machine her toes, they talk about. But it is what it is. And we must continue. The Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs at CARICOM has spoken eloquently, right? And he will continue to speak that way, right? We are an area of peace and mediation, you understand? And they must discuss, talk out their issues, and deal with that particular matter. And I'm almost certain it will be solved. And we will concentrate on getting that Dragon deal completed to get it down to Atlantic LNG and into Point Lisas. Dominic, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. 8:46. I could probably take one more call. Call me back, caller. Hello, good morning.
How are you?
I am good. Morning.
Right. How was Fatma Raj when he got married, right? How was Fatma Raj's wife? How young was she? In good roads and something. One and why, like, saying higher speak with the wind.
Yes.
No, I want to know, Tamna, hush your mother mouth. Because she was a child bride when the government wanted to change the age, the pundits and Hindus had issues. How could you forget? Another issue. They were great to the African from Guyana, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you said slave master me, the same with the great you stood by, get what free. Explain to us, Kamala, what you meant by that. Because when you're the African, I'm not racist, but you use the weaponized slavery. Please explain. Right? And the sanctions she wants against Venezuela. Who will suffer? You want from Guyana. That is a small big nation. Dominic, I can't come to your home and tell you what to cook.
Mm-hmm.
Your home is your kingdom. If I'm a guest, you have to ask me what I eat. I can't go to your fridge and pick up the food because it is your home. Guyana contribution to Venezuela. We have to let it play out, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Kamla wants support. Kamla loves Guyana because of who the person is. If a Negro man was there, she would never say, I stand with Guyana. As she said, there's an ATM machine. Kamla knows what Kamla. You are conveniently forgetful. Remember what you want to. Open people don't remember your words. Last and final thing. PPM Chaplin. Now look at my Facebook page and watch carefully.
Mm-hmm.
You would see how much money she and his flying sister used.
Yes.
What was the Custodian Parliament? What post she had on the UNC to use the state's money to fly? Is she a licensed nurse? What was your post that you flew like a bat out of hell? Sam, like explain to us. The helicopter fuel. 6.7 million. You were so special. Even then you had 7 toes. No, so in 2010, 2015, 7 toes. You can walk. Kamla, I want my money back. I demand every cent back. And last but not least, this fool caller again from Alexander. Philip, there's a hole in your pocket, yes, Philip, yes, Philip. There's a hole in your pocket, yes, Philip, fix it. The money you want to help you pay your dues, Philip. Your mouth open like hell's rear end. So I suggest to you, or vote for you, both of them, let them help you out. Dom, good to be blessed. My parent family, I bless you. I bless you. I bless you. I speak well over all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Final call. Hello, good morning.
Hi, morning, Dominic.
Good morning, sir.
You hear me?
Loud and clear.
Right, good. Dominic, I don't know, but I just be thankful for your program and have other programs, I think that we can listen to and get it back. Because Trinidad and Tobago is built on PNM policy. What we are enjoying today is based on PNM policy. A PNM government department would have made a cabinet decision and they put policy in place, and they're here where we are today. But when you listen to Murilala and Kappa, and they're speaking to the crowd and these people clapping that, I mean, sometimes you wonder, is these people that leading me? If these people and them are so brass-faced to blatantly lie to me, can I trust you all? I mean, simple as this. Malcolm Jones and Ken Julian and these guys and that contributed to the country and they came up with ideas and things. We have the industrial park, we have NGC, National Gas Company, and all these other things.
Yes.
The backbone of Trinidad and Tobago gas, because we in the oil game, but we we also has always been very small in the oil game compared to oil producing countries in OPEC, right? But you know what made us good? Is that we were the first to recognize gas, natural gas, and the whole follow after. Hence the reason why I think we still are the second largest producing company in the world, right? And you have campus services and themselves is still something totally different for the telling the thing and the lines last week, then you have the Attorney General who went behind Malcolm Jones, right? And he's a senior counsel because he's appointed. He gives himself an assistance. He really knows his job, but between knowing his job and doing the right thing and doing swindling things to win cases, like you, for instance, pilot a loan, come back and do the local law and everything. There's nothing ethical about that. There's nothing principle about that. When you do something like that, and when you have the title of a senior counsel, you must tread very lightly when to things like that because you have your name to protect. Now, when I tell you that he went behind Malcolm Jones, knowing that case can't win that case, because he knew. You think that he doesn't know that to win the case you have to prove some sort of a wrongdoing with Malcolm Jones. And even though if you're trying to get back something, you're looking for something in some area that you're targeting and you're looking to get from Malcolm, would you have in the board of directors too?
Right.
Malcolm Jones, we don't make them decisions. Malcolm, I just first tell him Malcolm Jones is not a builder. He didn't build any in terms of actually building the plan. He has the knowledge and the mindset and how it wants to be done. You give it to a builder and the builder has the plan and they'll build it.
Correct.
But what happened there, you can't just blame Malcolm Jones alone. At least he was the head of the board, so he has that responsibility that he is the head of the board, so that's where his responsibility comes in. And we all know that, But for him to do that now, and then he come in now, and here his kids, part of that same thing that the government wants to do is that the witness statement, that if the Queen Counsel said that if he had seen the witness statement, he would have advised the government. So there's a waste of time to be behind Malcolm Jones.
Yes.
And then you hear him talk about Ramdeen had the witness statement and never provided for him. And then it went on to say things like money being passed in from the former Queen's Counsel account into their account. But the government has a duty to deal with it and find the fact between it and whatever thing. And if in doing that you see wrongdoing, you're supposed to do something like that. No longer are the days that you get information from the Honeywell who could tell you, hey, let's put some information here. I think something's happening in the Attorney General office. I not want to be part of that. This Prime Minister, here, look at this. For her to bypass the AG and the other people under her, like in case like the PS in the ministry and all these things go directly to the Prime Minister, it has to be something of serious consequences, and it's not for any and anybody to know and tell the Prime Minister must know, because the Prime Minister has to figure out what investigation needs to be done and what things to fix. That is why she did that. But when you take it and you give it back to the person in question, something had to be wrong with our Prime Minister. Not so much the person, the culprit, the person who was aiding and abetting in it.
Yes.
And she stays on in the back, and everybody will blame Anna and she and they blame Mubila. But she there's actually information out there that she had idea of things happening in her government, and she played a part in covering it up. And I just named one just now there with the Honeywell matter. And then you have the EMPD matter with cartel like a bubble with you have contractors and them who trying to bleed the states that took up millions and millions of dollars and had to settle for peanuts. Some grab the peanuts and they go on. some will try and the thing because they will tell, hey, put on your win that case, they're a strong case, they still lose it. The state will end up saving over $500,000 in that EMB bracket with them fellas and that they didn't have to pay them fellas and that's a plus Trinidad and Tobago. And that is what I expect the government to do. I expect the government to go after the wrongdoing in the country in terms of when you have misconduct in ministry, and you can take civil matters. If you find wrongdoing that is criminal matters, you pass the information on to the police, and the police will take it up from there, and that the government has to have a hand up on it. When it goes to the police will investigate it. Go to the AG will see how to charge, what to do for everything, and it end up in the court, and the court will judiciate on it. That's what the court is there for. I do expect the prime minister to lock up anybody. That's not an issue. You can't do that. And if you have a prime minister doing that, that's a bad dictatorship in a your country. You can end up doing like Putin and them fellas like that. And we don't want that for our country. Right. So to say that this government has done nothing is a blatant lie, but this is an indictment of the PNM government because somehow they're not telling what is the achievement properly to the people because they've been able to use the propaganda campaigns to still fool people. People bluffing up that people don't understand that we now are proud owners of some fast ferries that we have never owned brand new fast ferries. Most of the fast ferries was used fast ferries. And when the PNM government came in, there was all these things wanted servicing months before they come into office, and they end up in a jam until the insurance and them started to say, I'm not going to insure that ship because anything happens to that ship of water, we can't pay for that. The boats and them needed repairing. How much people understand that? The OPPs, right? We order OPPs, the OPPs ready, they're to fine-tune it and they come in and they'll cast it. Put nothing in it and on the way out, they went and buy two Chinese vessels. That kind do not put drugs to buy. This government had to come in and find and get these innovative ways, get other people to support or something, then we get it built and give us them, start paying them fees. We didn't give them no down payment, anything to build two fast ferries. Sorry, not fast ferries, they build the OPVs and give it to us to man the border. These are achievements of trust, it's how we got it, with no money, boy. Government was able to negotiate that, boy. And you're telling me that they think and do nothing. When somebody goes to the damn problem, we have to take it. It's coming up. She shut down the smelter plant. When it plant up and it shut down, it take away jobs. That was another way of building this country. If this smelter plant was up and running, that would be a next form sort of revenue to the government, revenue stream. You know how much they are selling for now? And that vision would have us propped up here today.
Yes.
But Canada, that's what we pay for electricity, that we got to find ways to use it because if we don't use it just like water and Seven Trent and then they got to pay for water that we have to find ways to use the water. Something I can go on and on, but I hope the point of my whole contribution is today is that the PNM is still not getting across to the people, and that is why when the Monday night forum that Kamala and Judicial and them who are real baggage and to come and live reason in people's face and have people clapping like it like some kind of and laughing about that and they believe in it because when you go on Facebook and they make a comment, they want to kill you and tell you all kind of things, you are PNM this and you are PNM that and all kind of stuff. And listen, we thanks and keep it up, Dominic. I know it is a load on you because if you have to balance that between your work, your personal life, and keeping us abreast of what's happening, and I appreciate that. I thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much.
You.
Thank you. Right, so that was our last call for this morning, folks. For those of you still on, thank you so much. For those who joined, thank you all. And for those who will view the live later in their spare time, thank you. Always a pleasure to be with you. So as I said, there's other little snippets from that Monday night forum that I wanted to play, but we will treat with that on Thursday. continue to remind persons. You know, as I saw some comments here, perhaps some supporters of the UNC who continue to tell you, well, yeah, things was better under Kamala, and Kamala is the better choice. But ask them to tell you why they can't. Same one who gave out laptops to these school children. What do you think they was looking at on the laptop? Because they weren't using it in school. You didn't put internet in school for them, and it wasn't part of the curriculum. So if you were using the laptops to do what you're coming today to talk about pornography and children and all them kind of thing and who being groomed, but you're encouraging people in your own party who you know for a fact doing wrong things. Engage in that kind of activity and you wouldn't address it. Hypocrite much. Folks, enjoy the rest of your day. May it be a productive one. And God's willing, we will chat again on Thursday morning. Thank you all so much.